Awaken Light Audio. Awaken your mind, ignite your light.
How to be happy alone, the life-changing truth no one told you. What if being alone isn't a curse, but the key to your freedom? What if the life you've always dreamed of is waiting for you on the other side of letting go? What if solitude isn't your weakness, but your greatest superpower, the doorway to inner truth? Let's pause here, not to answer those questions yet, but to feel them. Because deep down, something in you already knows the truth. Not the version of the world handed you, not the story that says you're only whole when someone chooses you, but the truth that whispers, you were never meant to be completed. You were meant to be remembered by you. You see, we've all been taught to fear the silence, to fill every empty space with noise, with people, with distractions. To believe that being alone means being abandoned, that solitude means sadness, that stillness means something is missing. But what if that's not true? What if your fear of being alone is actually the fear of meeting the one person you've been avoiding, yourself? Because the real journey isn't about escaping loneliness, it's about discovering the power, the clarity, the peace that only solitude can give you. Not the kind of solitude that isolates, but the kind that liberates. The kind that strips away all the expectations, noise, and roles, until only your truth is left. This is not a journey of sadness, it's a homecoming, a return to the one place you forgot was sacred within. So breathe, open your heart, let the noise fade, because what you're about to walk into isn't emptiness. It's everything you've been searching for. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The truth about letting go. Letting go isn't the end of something, it's the beginning of becoming. We grow up believing that holding on is a sign of strength, that real love means never giving up, that loyalty means staying even when it hurts. But here's the truth no one ever taught us. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. You see, letting go has been misunderstood for too long. It's not weakness, it's not bitterness, it's not failure, it's freedom. It's not about pushing people away in anger. It's about pulling yourself back in love. Because here's the thing, not everyone in your life is meant to stay. Not every connection is meant to last forever. Some people come into your life to teach you how to hold on, but the most important ones, they teach you how to let go. We hold on to toxic relationships, thinking we're being kind. We stay in unfulfilling friendships, thinking we owe someone something. We cling to old, safe. But ask yourself honestly, is it really love, or is it just fear of being alone? We fear what comes after we let go. The silence, the stillness, the empty space. But that space isn't something to fear. It's sacred. It's the beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. Letting go is not just about others, it's about you. It's about honoring your growth, respecting your energy, reclaiming your peace, and choosing to stop watering what no longer blooms. You don't owe anyone your time, your love, your presence, especially not those who don't respect your soul. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to be someone else's emotional life raft. You are not here to constantly explain, defend, or justify why you deserve peace. You are here to expand, to rise, to shine. So if someone is holding you back, if a version of you no longer fits, if a relationship, job, or habit makes you feel small, it's time when you let go. You're not losing them, you're finding you. You're not breaking something, you're healing everything. You're not being selfish. You're finally being honest about what you need, what you deserve, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. The first practice, the release letter. Today, write a short letter, not to send, but to let go. Write to the person, the habit, or the version of yourself you're ready to release. Begin with, thank you for the role you played in my life, but now I choose to grow beyond you. Then fold it, burn it, bury it, let it go, not with hate, with love, with peace. Whisper to yourself, letting go isn't loss. It's making space for what was always meant for me. Chapter 2. The Empty Cup Syndrome. You can't pour into others when your own soul is thirsty. It's easy to wear selflessness like a badge of honor, to believe that constantly giving our time, our energy, our care is what makes us good, loving, worthy. But when your cup is empty, what are you really offering? Here's the silent truth so many people live with. They are exhausted from loving everyone else while abandoning themselves. They smile while they're hurting. They show up for others. While falling apart inside, they say yes when every fiber of their being is screaming no. Because they've been taught that rest is lazy, boundaries are selfish, and self-care is indulgent. But here's what you must understand. You are not infinite. You are not unbreakable. And you were never meant to be everything to everyone. There comes a point when your constant giving turns into quiet self-destruction, when helping others becomes a way to avoid your own healing, when love becomes people-pleasing, and compassion becomes self-erasure. You're not here to sacrifice yourself at the altar of someone else's happiness. You're not here to prove your worth through burnout. You are here to live fully, to love deeply, yes, but not at the cost of losing yourself. Take a moment. Think of the last time you gave your all and had nothing left for you. Was it love, or was it guilt wrapped in the disguise of duty? We often confuse martyrdom with meaning. But real purpose doesn't come from depletion. It comes from alignment, from knowing who you are, what you need, and choosing to protect that unapologetically. When you begin to fill your own cup first, something shifts. You no longer overgive for validation. You no longer chase people to feel needed. You give from a place of abundance, not desperation. And that, my friend, is the most sacred kind of love. Love that flows freely without wounding you in the process. The second practice, the mirror check dash, stand in front of a mirror. Today, look yourself in the eyes and ask, what do I need today before I give anything to anyone else? Then honor that need, even if it's 5 minutes of silence, even if it means saying, not today, even if it makes others uncomfortable, because your healing is not up for negotiation. Talk to yourself. I am not here to pour until I disappear. I am here to shine and still remain whole. Chapter 3. Redefining alone. Being alone isn't a punishment. It's an invitation to meet your true self. We've been taught to fear being alone. From childhood, we're told to make friends, to stay connected, to never eat lunch by ourselves. Romantic movies glorify togetherness, making it seem like happiness can only be found in someone else's arms. Even social media bombards us with curated moments of together. Couples, friends, celebrations, likes, comments. So, it's no wonder that when we're alone, we feel like something's missing. But is it really? Or have we just been programmed to believe that being alone means being unloved? Here's the truth. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is the absence of connection. But being alone, truly, intentionally alone, is the presence of yourself. And that's where the shift begins. When you're alone, there's no noise, no distractions, no masks to wear, no roles to perform. It's just you. And your truth, for many, that's terrifying. Because in the silence, we hear things we've buried. In the stillness, we feel emotions we've suppressed. But that's also where healing begins. In solitude, you meet your intuition. You hear your real thoughts. You confront your unmet needs. You finally see yourself, not through the eyes of others, but your own. Solitude isn't a void, it's a mirror. And when you stop running from it, you start coming home to the person you were always meant to become. Think of it this way. You charge your phone. Every night, you water your plants. You even let your computer rest. But how often do you unplug yourself from the world to reconnect with your soul? Being Alone doesn't mean something's wrong. It means you're giving yourself space to grow without pressure. It's not isolation, it's integration, because the most peaceful people you'll ever meet. They learned to befriend silence. They stopped fearing empty rooms, and in that stillness, they found power. The third practice, a date with yourself. Today, take yourself somewhere, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Go on a solo walk, have a coffee alone without scrolling your phone, sit on a bench, watch the sky. Be present with you. Let the world spin without you for a moment and realize it still goes on, and so do you. Tell yourself, alone is not empty. Alone is where I remember I am already whole. Chapter 4. Why you keep holding on. Sometimes we don't hold on because we want to. We hold on because we're afraid of who we'll be without it. Have you ever stayed too long in something that already ended? A friendship that drained you? A relationship that no longer fit? A version of yourself that no longer served you? You knew it was over. You felt it, but still, you stayed. Why? Because letting go isn't just about the other person. It's about shedding the story you've built around them. It's about releasing the identity that was tied to that job, that connection, that label. We don't just fear loss, we fear the unknown. Even pain can feel safe if it's familiar. That's why people stay in patterns that hurt them, because at least they know the rules. They know the outcome. There's comfort in the predictable. Even when it's painful, we hold on because part of us believes maybe it'll get better. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I'm expecting too much. But those maybes are quiet lies we tell ourselves to avoid the truth. We've already outgrown it, whether it's a relationship, a belief, or an old dream. When something no longer aligns with your spirit, you begin to feel it as restlessness, fatigue, inner conflict. That's not failure. That's your soul knocking on the door, asking to be freed. What if holding on is no longer loyalty, but fear dressed as devotion? What if your healing requires walking away? You are not obligated to stay where you've stopped growing. You're allowed to outgrow people too. Evolve past environments to become someone your past self never imagined. There's no reward for clinging to something you've already spiritually graduated from. No medal for staying small so others feel comfortable. Every time you stay somewhere you no longer belong, you abandon the version of you that's waiting on the other side. And that version, she's stronger, he's freer. They're finally alive. The next practice, the expired identity list. Write down 3 roles or relationships you've outgrown but still carry. Be honest. They could be the fixer in the family, the always available friend, the silent sufferer at work. Then draw a line through each dot and write, I release this version of me. I am no longer responsible for who I had to be. Let that be your freedom. Remind yourself, I am not obligated to shrink for comfort. I am allowed to rise for truth. Chapter 5. You can't fix what doesn't want to heal. You can break yourself trying to fix someone who's committed to staying broken. Many of us carry invisible toolkits, always ready to mend, to patch, to repair the people we love. We see their pain. We hear their excuses. We hold on to their potential. And in our deep empathy, we believe it's our job to save them so. We stay, we sacrifice, we soften our boundaries, we explain over and over again. We forgive wounds that never stop, bleeding. Why? Because somewhere inside, we believe, if I love them enough, maybe they'll change. But here's the hard truth. You cannot want healing more than they do. You cannot choose growth for someone else, and love does not mean sacrificing yourself on the altar of someone else's refusal to evolve. It's not kindness to enable someone's self-destruction. It's not loyalty to stay where your soul is being drained. There's a difference between helping and losing yourself in someone else's storm, because while you're busy fixing them, who's holding you? While you're covering their cracks, who's healing yours? And while you wait for them to change, How many versions of yourself have you silenced? Ask yourself this: if they never changed, if they never apologized, if they never met you halfway, would you still believe they're worth everything you're giving up? You are not their therapist. You are not their parent. You are not the missing piece to their puzzle. You are a whole, vibrant soul, not a repair project manager. Some people don't heal because healing requires accountability, and accountability is uncomfortable. Not because they can't be better, but because being better demands effort. And some people prefer pity over progress. Don't let your compassion become your cage. Don't let their wounds dictate your worth. You can love someone deeply and still walk away completely, because loving them doesn't mean abandoning you. Another practice, the not mine to carry release. Take a moment today. Close your eyes. Visualize the person you've been trying to fix. Now whisper this: I release you. To your journey, I choose mine. I am no longer responsible for healing what you refuse to face. Say it 3 times, and every time, feel the weight lift. Whisper to yourself, I don't have to destroy myself to keep someone else from falling apart. Chapter 6. Letting go of who you used to be. Your old self helped you survive. Your new self is here to help you live. Sometimes the hardest person to walk away from is not your ex, not your friend, not your past. It's the version of you that you no longer are. You know the one who stayed quiet to keep the peace, the one who said yes when her heart whispered no, the one who held back their truth to be accepted, the one who wore masks just to be loved. It kept you safe. Maybe it helped you navigate a world that didn't see your light. Maybe it helped you survive. But you're not surviving anymore. You're growing, you're awakening, you're becoming, and in order to fully rise, you have to release the roles you no longer belong to. The achiever who tied their worth to productivity. The people pleaser who feared being disliked. The caretaker who forgot how to care for themselves. Letting go of who you used to be doesn't mean dishonoring that version. It means thanking them and moving on. So take a moment. Think about who you were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Are you still carrying expectations that no longer fit your truth? Are you still trying to meet standards created by a person you've already outgrown? Growth means becoming someone new, but it also means grieving who you used to be. It's okay to feel the sadness. It's okay to miss the comfort of old patterns, but don't mistake comfort for alignment. Just because something once worked doesn't mean it still serves you. You're allowed to shift, to soften, to expand. Because evolution doesn't always look like ambition. Sometimes it looks like finally resting, finally breathing, finally choosing peace over performance. One more practice. Write your own eulogy. Yes, really. Not for your death, but for your old self. Write a short letter, as if you're saying goodbye. Start with, thank you for protecting me, but I no longer need to be that version of me. I choose growth. After writing it, read it aloud. Burn it, tear it, bury it under a plant. Let it return to the soil, where all things go to be transformed. Talk to yourself, I am not who I was, and that is a beautiful thing. Chapter 7. Embracing the power of boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls to keep others out. They're doors to keep your peace in. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that saying no makes you unkind, that putting yourself first makes you selfish, that setting boundaries means you're pushing people away. But what if that's wrong? What if the real act of love is knowing where you end and someone else begins? Boundaries are not punishments. They're not emotional bricks in a wall. They are invitations for others to meet you in the space of respect. You see, without boundaries, you end up being everything for everyone and nothing for yourself. You say yes to things that drain you. You show up when you're exhausted. You stay silent to avoid conflict. And the cost: your peace, your joy, your sense of self. Here's the truth. You are not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You are only responsible for honoring your soul. Let this sink in. Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about keeping yourself in alignment, in integrity, in self-love. Most people fear setting boundaries because they fear losing people. But what if setting boundaries doesn't lose the right people? It reveals them. The ones who respect your limits. They're meant to stay. The ones who guilt-trip you, manipulate you, or call you selfish. They were never loving you. They were using you. Boundaries are not about distance. They're about direction. Where is your energy flowing? Where are your emotions going? What are you allowing in, and why? You don't need to explain yourself endlessly. You don't need to feel guilty for choosing your peace. You need permission to protect your mental, emotional, and spiritual space. Next practice, write your non-negotiable list. Minutes to list 3 to 5 things that are non-negotiable for your peace. Examples: I don't explain myself twice. I don't accept disrespect, even in silence. I don't ignore my own needs to make others comfortable. Keep this list somewhere visible. Live by it. Let it guide your decisions. Let it teach people how to treat you. By showing how you treat yourself, remind yourself, every time I honor my boundaries, I teach the world how to honor me. Chapter 8. Rewiring the need for validation. When you stop needing approval, you start finding freedom. From the moment we're born, we're conditioned to seek it. Gold stars, compliments, likes, follows, applause. As children, we learned that a smile got us love, obedience got us praise, success got us attention. So we internalized a dangerous belief: if I am enough, they will approve of me. But what happens when the people around you are incapable of seeing your worth? What happens when their approval comes with conditions, or manipulation, or silence? You begin to shrink. You second-guess your intuition. You change who you are, just to be accepted, and in the process, you lose the only voice that matters, your own. Let's be clear, validation is not evil. It's human to want to be seen. It's human to feel good when appreciated. But it becomes dangerous when it becomes oxygen, because when you need others to validate your worth, you give them the power to define it, to decide it, to take it away. Here's a radical truth. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone is meant to, and that's okay. Their opinion of you is not your responsibility. Your alignment with your truth is. Think of how many times you've abandoned your own desires just to avoid judgment. How often you've said yes to things you didn't want, simply to avoid disappointing someone. How many versions of yourself you've worn just to be liked. That's not love. That's performance, and it's exhausting. True, peace comes the day you realize you do not need to audition for your own life. You do not need to prove your value to those who can't see past their own wounds, because validation that must be earned is always temporary, but self-worth that is rooted is unshakable. Another practice: rewrite the script. Take a belief you've carried about validation. For example, if they don't respond, I must have said something wrong. If they don't like me, maybe I need to change. Now, cross it out and write this instead: I trust how I feel around people more than how they feel about me. Let this be your new baseline. Peace over performance. Authenticity over approval. Alignment over applause. Whisper to yourself, I don't need permission to be enough. I already am. Chapter 9. Solitude as a magnet for the right people. When you're whole alone, you stop settling for half love from others. There's something powerful that happens when you stop fearing solitude. You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop clinging to people who only show up when it's convenient. And suddenly, you start attracting the kind of love that doesn't drain you, the kind of people who don't just tolerate your truth, but honor it. You see, when you fear being alone, you'll accept almost anything. Attention becomes a substitute for intimacy. Noise becomes a distraction from your needs. You confuse connection with attachment. But when you truly make peace with being alone, you become magnetic, not because you're trying to prove anything, not because you're loud, flashy, or constantly visible, but because your energy says, I am full, not waiting to be filled. And full people attract real ones. Solitude is not a wall, it's a filter. It keeps out the ones who only came for your light, but couldn't stand your shadow. And it lets in the ones who see your wholeness and say, I don't need to fix you. I just want to walk beside you. Think about the connections you've had when you were lonely. Were they truly nourishing? Or were they just a break from silence? Now think of the connections that came when you were grounded, when you were clear on your values, peaceful with yourself. Didn't they feel different? More honest? More equal? That's because like attracts like. When you build a life rooted in self-respect, joy, peace, you no longer resonate with chaos. You no longer confuse intensity with intimacy. You don't crave rescue. You crave resonance. And suddenly, those who once felt exciting now feel heavy. Those who once felt familiar now feel foreign. Because your energy has evolved, and your standards with it. The next practice, create your energetic standard. Write down 5 qualities you want in the relationships you allow into your life. Romantic, platonic, even professional. Not surface traits, but energies. Examples: respectful silence, not forced conversation; accountability, not defensiveness; depth, not drama; presence, not performative attention; growth-minded, not stagnant. Then ask yourself, do I embody these things for myself? Because the energy you want must first be cultivated within. Talk to yourself. I no longer seek to be chosen. Choose myself and let alignment do the rest. Chapter 10. You're not selfish. You're evolving. The more you grow, the quieter you become, and the less you explain why. One of the most painful parts of healing is realizing how many people preferred you unhealed. They liked you agreeable. They liked you small. They liked you selfless to the point of self-erasure. But now, suddenly, you're being called cold. You've changed. You think you're better now. Here's the truth. You're not selfish. You're just not available for dysfunction. Drowned by choice. You're not distant. You're just not willing to burn yourself out for crumbs of validation. You're evolving, and not everyone will come with you. And that's okay. Growth can feel lonely at first, because healing removes the people who were attached to your wounds, not your truth. Shrink just to stay liked. Don't dim your healing, just to stay familiar. You didn't come this far to betray yourself again. Some people will never understand your boundaries, because they benefited from your lack of them. Some will call your peace boring, because they were addicted to your chaos. Some will miss the old you, not because she was better, but because she was easier to manipulate. And that's not your problem. To fix, your only task now is to protect the version of you that cost so much to become, because this new you, she's earned her freedom. He's walked through fire, they've chosen themselves, and that is the most sacred choice of all. The last practice, the declaration of self-permission, stand in front of a mirror. Place your hand over your heart, say this aloud, not as a mantra, but as a contract. I give myself permission to change. Repeat as often as needed. Remind yourself, I am not selfish for choosing myself. I am sacred for remembering who I am. Let this be your truth now. You were never too much. You were never too sensitive, too ambitious, too quiet, too soft, too strong. We're simply too real for a world that asked you to be smaller, but not anymore. Now you walk differently, not because you're better than anyone, but because you finally remembered. You were never broken, just buried, and you're healing your solitude. Your journey was never about fixing. It was about uncovering. So take a breath, feel the stillness, stand taller, and say it to yourself one last time. I don't need to be completed. I just need to be remembered by the person I was always meant to be. Thank you for spending this moment with Awaken Light Audio. If something today touched your heart or opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What spoke to you most? Tell us about your journey, your questions. Send it their way, because light grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay present, stay awakened, and keep becoming who you're meant to be.